Hodu Lashem Kitov, Kili Olam Chasto. What a magnificent venue, what a beautiful day, and what a momentous occasion. Today is special not only because we join Jews around the world, celebrating the completion of the 13th cycle of Daf Yomi, but today is incredibly special because we, the South Florida Jewish community, join together. Diverse shuls and yeshivas and schools, diverse backgrounds and ages and perspectives, but all gathered here together for one reason, one purpose, for that which has always united us and for that which will continue to bind us together forever. And that is the centrality of Torah in our lives. Firstly, I want to echo the thanks to all those volunteers who work tirelessly to make this extraordinary event the success it is. The committee, the volunteers, those who've been working for months and those who showed up today. And of course, an enormous debt of gratitude to the vision behind the Siyum, a man who's been working tirelessly from the beginning until today. Thank you, Donnie, for all of your leadership and hard work. I want to acknowledge and thank my dear friends, Rabbi Seth and Esther Grossman, who not only so generously sponsored the Siyum dedication this morning, but who themselves model a powerful commitment to Torah learning and Torah living on a regular basis. Thank you. It's truly a great honor to have Harav Druk Shlita with us, bringing the Kedusha, the Avira, a connection with Eretz Yisrael. It makes this morning all the more special, and we're so grateful the Rav is here. It's also a great privilege, a special opportunity to hear and to be able to share the podium with my dear friend, Rav Ephraim Shapiro. Very much looking forward to his words this morning. B'shus the Rabbanim Chashuvim, my dear and beloved colleagues who are gathered here today. When Rav Meir Shapiro, Zecher Tzadik V'Kodesh Livracha, the founder of the Daf Yomi, was only 7 years old. In his home one day, he found his mother as she was sobbing. His mother was crying, and as a 7-year-old sees his mother crying, he asked her why. She turned to her young son and she said, "I'm terribly sad because your Malamed, your teacher, he was scheduled to come today, but he didn't show up." So the young boy didn't understand. What's the big deal? He came yesterday, he'll come tomorrow. So he wasn't here today. So Rav Shapiro's mother said to him, "Merla, you're too young to understand, but I want you to know, and I want you to forever remember that if you miss a day of learning, it can never be replaced. It can never be made up. And that's why I'm crying, because your Malamed didn't show." Rav Meir Shapiro's mother understood something so fundamental, so basic and so core to our people, from when we stood at the base of Har Sinai until today and in perpetuity, that Kihem Chayenu V'Orech Yameinu, that Torah is not just information, it's not a set of facts or laws, it's not a collection of our history. That Torah learning is not just a way of life, it is life. It's what provides life and sustains life and nourishes life, and that without it, we simply cannot live. Rav Meir Shapiro's mother's tears left an indelible impression on her young son. And when the opportunity presented itself, he introduced a system and initiative which would ensure that we would never miss a day of learning in our lives. Do you know it's estimated today that there are more than 300,000 people around the world who learn the Daf Yomi daily? Rav Meir Shapiro and his wife didn't have biological children. They didn't have children of their own, but make no mistake, every Blat Gemara learned is their continuity and legacy. Every member of the Daf, his progeny. Now, much of the credit for the Daf Yomi, for the countless who learn it daily, for the tens of millions of pages of Gemara learned in the last 7.5 years, much of that credit goes to his mother. She and Jewish women since then have inspired, supported, promoted, and sacrificed to ensure that a day of Torah learning is never missed. And they too are heroes of the Daf, who deserve our recognition and appreciation this morning. Kihem chayenu va'orech yameinu. In the golden age of the Jewish people, Torah informed and inspired our every move. And in some of the darkest periods and the bleakest moments of our history, Torah learning is not only what gave us courage, faith, and hope, but Torah learning literally gave us life. My dear friend and colleague, Rabbi Moshe Hauer, shared a story that his own father, Zichrono Livracha, only told him at the end of his life. During the war, Rabbi Hauer's father was exiled with Jews from Romania to a place called Transnistria, which is in the Ukraine. They were forced into slave labor. They lived in miserable and meek conditions. And during that time, though he was young, Rabbi Hauer's father had the privilege to study Torah daily with Rav Yosef Naftali Stern Zatzal, a true Gadol B'Yisrael who would end up surviving, moving to Israel, being a member of the Moetzes Gedolei HaTorah of Israel. His father shared that often, when they finished studying, the great Rav, the great Talmid Chacham, would turn to the young boy and he'd say, "Close your Gemara. It's time to go home for supper." And then he saw the look on the boy's face. And he'd say, "Tell me, do you have anything at home to eat for supper?" And regularly, invariably, the young boy would say, "No, not really. There's nothing to eat." So in those dark and bleak days, in the horror of Transnistria and the Ukraine, Rav Stern would open up the Gemara and say to the young boy, "Let's have another blot Gemara for supper." And they would continue learning. And all those years later, Rav Hauer's father told him, it was those extra blot, it was that continued Torah learning that sustained him and nourished him and that enabled him to survive through those dark days. In the 5th parak of the Tanya, the Alter Rebbe writes, HaTorah hi hamazon l'neshamo she'asku ba'olam hazeh b'Torah l'shma. Torah is literally the nourishment for the souls of those who learn it sincerely. HaMitzvos heim levushim levad. Mitzvahs are the garments. They enable us to make contact externally with the divine. VaTorah hi hamazon v'gam halavush. But Torah is the food we ingest spiritually. We ingest it, we digest it, it becomes absorbed by us, part of us. It informs us, inspires us. It enables us not only to make contact with the divine, but to be of one mind with the divine, to be connected and integrated with the Ribono Shel Olam as one. When we learn Torah, we're feeding our soul. We're hydrating our spirit. Kihem chayenu va'orech yameinu. Today, we're going to recite the Hadron from a very special Gemara. The Nazis, Yimach Shemam v'Zichrom, had stolen and looted and burned all the Sfarim belonging to German Jews. And when the war ended, there was not one complete set of Shas that could be found in Western Europe. Rabbi Samuel Sneag and Rabbi Samuel Rose, both survivors of Dachau, had an idea to print an entire full set of Shas while yet in Germany. They printed 50 sets of what became known as the Survivors' Talmud. They used the Nazi printing presses, the printing machines the Nazis had used to promote and spread their own propaganda. Those same printing machines became the vehicle and instrument to produce full-size sets of Shas. The survivors in the DP camps, they were starving for food. But do you know that many were also starving to feed their souls, desperate to return to learning the Daf Yomi, a cycle of learning that was interrupted? And now today, almost 75 years later, as we once again rise, as we once again face a rise of those who want to harm us, as once again we confront heinous attacks by those who want to eliminate us, we together here in South Florida will celebrate the completion of Shas with a statement of defiance, a triumph over our enemies, with the Siyum and the Hadron that will be recited from one of the volumes of a survivor's Talmud, printed on those printing presses in Germany. We will declare that Netzach Yisrael lo yishaker. We will read the Hadron from a volume that was studied by those who weighed next to nothing, who had lost next to everything. A testament of our immortality and to the central role that Torah plays in sustaining us, because Kihem Chayenu V'orech Yameinu. When we read that Hadron, when we read that volume, we will proudly declare Hadron Allah. We will return to you, no matter what, no matter when. Hadron Allah, we will be back. Some will try lashkicham Torasecha, to cause us to forget you, our sacred Torah. But have no fear, Hadron Allah, we will be back. Others will burn you and destroy you. But Hadron Allah, we will be back. And yet others, as recently as to this week, will try to destroy shuls in Harnof and Pittsburgh and Poway and Muncie. But Hadron Allah, we will keep coming back, because nothing can keep us away from you, our sacred Torah. This is our mission as Jews. It's core to who we are. It's essential to our mandate and why we're here. Hadron Allah, no matter when, no matter where, we will be back. In davening we recite Shekein Chovas Kol Yetzurim, that we have an obligation, lahader, to approach our Yiddishkeit, our relationship with Hashem, and our commitment to Torah with a passion, a dedication, a love, an affection. We are people of Hadar and of Hidr, a people of Hadron Allah. Lehader, we glorify Hashem by our commitment to come back again and again and again. No matter what happens in our history, no matter what happens in our personal lives, of Hadron Allah, our love of Torah never grows tired. Our love of Torah never ends. Hadron Allah, this love, lehader, to live a life of such passion that we can't part. A life of obsession with Torah. It's not just for Talmidei Chachamim and Yeshiva Bachrim, or those with a strong background, or those with brilliant minds. But the Torah HaKadosha is for every single one of us. Shulchan Aruch records that when the Torah is lifted for Hagbah, a person should make every effort to see the text of the Torah and to recite V'zos HaBracha. The Shulchan Aruch says the proper thing is to bow. The Arizal takes it a step further and encourages moving up close to be able to see the words of the Torah during Hagbah. But I saw a beautiful minhag that some have, not just to come up close and read any random words in the Torah during Hagbah, but a minhag to scan the column during Hagbah and find the letter that begins your name. When that Torah is raised, when the Torah is lifted for all to see, we find our letter. We see ourselves in the Torah. We bow, we point, and we proclaim, V'zos HaTorah. This Torah is for me. I can learn it. I have a portion in it. It speaks to me. That I too can tap into its timeless messages and inspiration. That it has something to say for my personal life. And it's waiting for me to have something to say about it. Kihem Chayenu V'orech Yameinu. None of us can afford to be too busy, too distracted, have too much insecurity or too little interest in learning Torah. There's a letter in the Torah for every one of us. And the Jewish people are counting on it. It needs us and we need it, and nobody understood that better than the extraordinary person whom we dedicate this Siyum to today. When our dear friend, my Yedid Nefesh, Rabbi Dr. Brian Gabed Baruch Tzvi ben Ruvain Nasson, Zichrono Livracha, when he was diagnosed with a devastating brain tumor, he knew immediately that as important as any medicine, treatment, or therapy were for his health and well-being, it was his Torah learning and the learning of others in his merit that would give him life. Brian cherished the Daf Yomi, not when he got sick, long before. Brian learned the Daf at a high level. There's nothing wrong with using an art school or Mesivta, but Brian never took the easy way out. He insisted on using a regular Gemara, even if it meant breaking his teeth over a difficult sugya. He was found before the sun was even in the sky, learning the Daf with Rabbi Sugarman every morning. But Daf was only part of his rigorous learning schedule that included exploring topics that interested him, regularly preparing and delivering high-level chaburos in our community. The wear and tear on his Sfarim, the notes in their margins, and the underlines on their pages all testify to his hasmada, his incredible Torah diligence and commitment to learning, all while simultaneously earning a reputation as an outstanding physician, all while being one of the most hands-on fathers I've ever known. And when Brian got sick, the daf in particular took on a special significance for him, not only for what it meant for himself, but it represented for him an opportunity. If he had to go through that horrific condition, then at least he could leverage it, he could exploit it to get others to learn in his merit. If he had to suffer, at least it could benefit others who might take on learning. As his illness progressed, understanding the daf became harder and harder. But if you learned it with Brian, you'd never know, because he just kept smiling and laughing, even while he struggled. He was never fatigued and he was never defeated. He kept plugging away at the daf until he literally, physically could no longer learn it anymore. And even then, because his family understood what the daf meant to him, it continued to play in his ears. In anticipation of the Siyum in his memory, several people shared with me the experience of what it was like to have been recruited by him to learn the daf. And I want to just share one of them with you this morning. A person said, quote, "I'll never forget the call. It was a Friday afternoon in July. I was driving home from work, and when I first saw the name on the caller ID, my jaw practically dropped. Brian Galbett. This was 2 weeks after he'd been diagnosed and undergone brain surgery. It shocked to see that he was calling me now. I picked up the phone and I said hello, and after answering my "how are you doing" with his trademark, Baruch Hashem, feeling great, everything's great, he told me that he wanted a favor. You're smart, you're capable, you can learn. I was wondering if you could start learning Daf Yomi in my merit. I didn't hesitate," the person shares. "Those few minutes literally changed my life. I started Daf Yomi the next day, and that learning, but most of all the source behind it, Brian putting himself out there to personally ask me to do it, it sparked something in me. Until then, I could check off every box as someone who was frum, but I wasn't connected in a serious way to learning or davening or with Hashem. Seeing how Brian immediately reacted to his illness, calling people like me, trying to get us to commit to learning, inspired me to reevaluate my life and to consider what I could do to be more like Brian, someone I'd always admired as a model of a true Eved Hashem." And the person concludes, "There is literally no area of my life that has not improved because Brian picked up the phone and called me one July day and solicited that initial commitment. My Torah learning and davening are better qualitatively and quantitatively than they ever have been. We weren't close friends, and yet not a day goes by that I do not think about Brian for what he did for me with that one short phone call. I cherish his memory, and I will continue to learn Torah in his memory every single day. Ki chayenu v'orach yameinu." Rav Meir Shapiro's mother understood that Torah is vital to truly live each day. Rav Howard's father literally consumed Torah for dinner, sustaining him during the darkest times. The Holocaust survivors in the DP camps were starving for the daf, understanding it would restore their very lives. And our dear friend Brian Galbett knew that if he could get others to learn Torah in his merit, it would not only extend his life, but it would give others real life too. Pachad Yitzchak, Rav Hutner shares, I close with this, a story from the Chidushei Arim of two Talmidei Chachamim who were dancing on Simchas Torah. One of them got tired before the other and needed to rest, and the Chidushei Arim was asked, how do you understand, how do you interpret why one stopped before the other? And the Ger Rebbe said, you see, one was dancing in celebration of the Torah he had already learned, and the other was dancing in anticipation of the Torah he was about to begin. The Torah of the past, said the Ger Rebbe, what we've already learned and finished, it has boundaries and limits, so you become exhausted and tired. But the Torah that's in front of us, it's limitless. And so when we honor it and when we celebrate it, we never run out of energy. Many here are marking the completion of Shas, an enormous accomplishment, and to you I say Mazel Tov. You should be benched, you should be blessed. Hashem could continue to grant you good health and energy and the wherewithal to continue to learn for many, many years to come. But those who finish Shas are only half the reason that we're here. We're also here to celebrate and honor those who are about to embark on the next journey. Whether of Daf Yomi, a cycle of 7.5 years, or any other area of Torah learning, If you're moved by this event and by this time to imbibe the sweetness of Torah, this celebration is for you. If you're determined to go forth from today and in a more meaningful way incorporate Torah study in your life, then the joy that you will feel and that we will dance soon has no bounds or limits, will never tire. You don't have to wait for Hagbah to find your place in the Torah. Make a plan today. Join the movement, the community who realize Kiyem Chayenu v'Orach Yameinu. It could be the Daf for Amud Shvui, it could be Mishnah or Tanakh, it could be listening to a Shira Chavrusa, but every one of us must nourish our souls by feeding them Torah. Anti-Semites, once again, are trying to destroy us. And we will fight them in the halls of Congress and the court of public opinion and with greater measures of safety and security, but ultimately we fight their plan to eliminate us by doubling down on our effort to have pride in our Jewish identity and to fulfill our Jewish mission. If they want to destroy us for being Jews, then we so proudly and more strongly express what it means to be a Jew, to be informed and inspired by Torah. We cannot and must not walk away from today without a resolution, a plan of how we will learn more, live more, and share more Torah with those around us. I implore you, do it for Klal Yisrael. Do it le'iloi nishmas Baruch Tzvi ben Ruvei Nassan. But most of all, do it for yourself. Thank you very much.